it's meltdown.
All right. Looks like we're live. Now we just have to wait for people to show up. Did you get all the research done that you wanted to for your topic?
Yep.
Okay. So much fun. Did I not click on comments? Carla, Mari, how you ladies doing? How is your Monday? Shit.
What? No. I'll give you some treats.
No, that's too big.
There you go.
Hey, Sherry. Welcome, Adria. How you ladies doing?
Hello, ladies.
So you've been sick again, Carla? Or still? That time of year, I guess. That is no fun. You're staying cool. Well, that's good. Alice had to go out for a physical therapy appointment today, which I still haven't heard about. Because I was in the garage counting papers when she got back. And unfortunately, I'm not talented enough to count and listen. Went to the ER with the same issue. Oh, Carla. That is not good. Not good at all. Let's see. Let's see if I can find out what the temperature was today. I have not personally been outside. I've been in the garage. That's not quite the same as being outside.
It was
Definitely not the
104.
same as being outside in the sun. You're cutting out 100 and what?
It's like 101 today.
4?
101. 1.
Okay. I can hear you now. Let's see if that was the high, though. 102 was the high, it says. Feels like 101. Ooh, that whole degree difference. Let's see. It says tomorrow maybe 107, and Wednesday it may be 108. Getting up there. You got a haircut and then went to Albertsons? I did not go anywhere. I garaged. That was the extent of my sort of outsidiness. But you know, it's that time of year where I turn into a hermit crab. I try and dash from one air conditioned place to another. and not get real, you know, into spending a lot of time outside. I even tend to lessen my amount of time outside in the backyard this time of year because without a breeze, with the stagnant air, oh, it just feels so hot, you know. So since this is a journal, I decided on the okay, I can do this asphyxiation pages that I would just put some samples of things that you could maybe use to, so string or rope, some wire. Then I have this other kind of wire that I'm going to try and do something with over here. I may need to get a pair of pliers to work this. It's a little stiff. Carla would never wish a heat advisory on anyone. Yes, that would be what I would do. And I would try and do it all in the shade provided by the building. You do that crab thing. Swivel your hips. Swivel your hips. Hey, Christine, how you doing, lady? Yeah, it's part of it. And, you know, it's a cliche, but it really is a dry heat. It makes all the difference, honestly. I'm going to grab me some pliers. Try and do maybe something circular with this. This piece of wire Els found. I cleaned out my purse the other day. And Els dropped stuff in there that we find in parking lots or on the, you know, different places. And I don't always see her do it, but some of the stuff was a surprise. You know, some of us are just situationally unaware a large part of the time. That would be me. So I got this pink snippet of wire. She found it. And it's pretty cool. So I'm just going with stuff I took out of my purse to add to this page that would be, you know, interesting. I've lived and worked in Death Valley, and yes, it is by about 10 to 25 degrees depending on time of year. Sometimes with Phoenix, it's about the same temperature, but it is a hotter, drier heat than we get here or in the Phoenix Scottsdale area. Got to the point, you know, and this was in my early 20s. I was around 23, 24, 25 when I was working out that way. You'd be sitting out at the general store, you know, hanging out with people who work there, watching tourists come and go. Because that's the thing you do when you work in a national park, or at least at the concession. Tourist watching becomes a thing. Because it's the only thing that changes in the scenery, really. So now they're going, it's 125 today. It's not too bad. Trying to stay out of the direct, you know, direct sunlight. But for part of the day, and I don't know if they've changed that area, but when I worked there, it was a concrete square in front of the general store. And there was like three things in that building. There was the general store, there was a restaurant, and I don't remember what it was called, and then the buffet, all housed in the same building. It was a long, like, ranch style building, and it's just concrete slabs to sit on. So they would stay warm well into the night. Yeah, Carla, is it? Give another Oscar the Grouch stomach ulcer. Oh, That's no fun, Carla. What you working on over there, Owls?
Oh, just putting some stuff on this piece of paper.
Oh, that sounds really exciting.
It is.
Doctor appointments for you. Well, hopefully they'll get you fixed up and back on. Okay, so I made this, and I'm going to put it over here, I think.
All right. Hello, Carla. Hi, Christine. Hello, Sherry. Hi, Adria. Hi, Mari. I don't think I missed anybody.
No, I think that's about everybody. Small crowd tonight, but there are hardcore regulars. Some people may float in later. I don't know what kind of live's going on Monday anymore. I haven't looked around in a while. But they're not our Murder Monday. Right before in 2020, yeah. I remember that. I remember you being in the hospital. What did I do with the lid? There it is. Finished reading. Listening to a book, 26 and 27. Did you? I just finished 25, so I have 26 up next. I'm reading that Joanne Fluke book right now, and I'm sorry. Sorry I did it. The Crafting Tribe Diehards.
Wait a minute. I can get these things on an audiobook?
Yeah. Yes. Probably from the library if you check that their online service for audiobooks.
Okay, I'm going to have to do that. I'm too lazy to read.
Why? What?
I'm too lazy to read.
Too lazy to read. Whatever. That's such a load of crap you read all the time. All right, so we got some extras added. I'd like to put something down here. Maybe just some fibers or something that looks like clothes.
I'm sorry, I don't know anybody with any fibers.
Whatever. Not believing you.
No?
No. Queen of the fibers? I don't think so.
Okay, I might have 3 or 4.
$100.
In every color of the rainbow.
As proved by this week's live sale.
See, but now I'm down a few yards, so I got to go get more.
Well, good luck with that.
I can't buy any more fiber. Mike's going to kill me.
Not if you can fit it in the same space.
Well, this is true. He may not know. Then he may not know.
As long as there's no new whole bins of it up here.
Shush. Just let him sit out there and play his game completely unaware.
I don't think you could get away with a whole lot of Mike in the house. Even when he's not aware, I think he's aware. Just saying. You missed the fibers. Oh my gosh, they were fantastic. Carla missed the fibers.
Uh-oh.
She had brand new colors and everything.
Yep.
You could strangle somebody with a scarf. That's a thing that could happen.
What happens in a live stays in a live.
What happens in a live stream stays in a live stream. Unless your Mr. Mike is sitting in the other room where everything echoes to. Which he is, because he's playing a game. He's having some actual downtime. How about them apples? Oh, I'm not even on camera. Hold on. Push that over a little bit. You saw them in the preview? Oh, you did a preview else?
Fibers? I kind of flashed them.
You flashed your fibers? Ooh, salacious.
I know. I'm just that way.
Did you get lots of cat calls and whistles?
Uh-huh.
I bought some, and then a couple of people got some for me. I'll show you what I got. I got some of the new stuff. Here we go. I can do it real quick while I'm waiting for that to dry. Is the Harley Quinn new or old?
That's a new one.
So I got the Harley Quinn. This was from Christine. Autumn Woods. Let me hold them up closer because that's my camera's pretty far away. So that's the Harley Quinn.
I think that was from Janice.
It says, oh, it does. Your handwriting's about as good as mine. Autumn Woods.
Hi,
When
Angie.
you're in a rush. Mine looks like that when I'm taking my time. Yours only. Hi, Angie. How you doing? Welcome. This is the Autumn Woods one. Midnight Fae. And then somebody gifted me, Janice gifted me the romance, or as we like to call it in this portion of the show, the murder colors. The blood red pack. So you can look at this positively or not. And then these aren't all her new packs. This one is the mermaid one, which I have a specific journal in mind for.
Yeah, I
No
think there-
sale sucked here. We had an awesome sale.
I had I think I have
Because you had other colors that I didn't get. What?
I have Autumn Woods, Midnight Fae, Mermaid in the shop. I don't have any Harlequin in the shop right now. I have Sherbert in the shop.
So that was a new color. Sherbert. Oh, that was the one I didn't get. That was like all kinds of fun pastel colors. It was
Yeah.
a riot.
And then I think there's 2 Purple Passions still in there from the old sets.
Mhm.
1 Romance. And I want to say one of the Blue Skies.
Cool.
I think.
You missed the mermaid one. Is there mermaid in the shop now?
I think there's Mermaid in the shop. If there's not, it'll be in there probably tomorrow.
She's still working on it. Some of them she sold all of plus. She was sitting there after the sale, madly making fiber kits. She looked a little bit crazy, I got to tell you. She's the crazy eyes going. All right, you guys, I think we can finally, at long last, consider this asphyxiation page done. Ta-da! Now I just have to wait for some of this stuff to dry, but yay. So we got some copper insulated wire, just some wire. We got some cord, and we got a scarf. All things you can asphyxiate people with. I had to get a little piece of plastic wrap. Oh, you only made $11? That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Phooey on them. They don't know a good thing when they see it. Els will tell you craft shows are hard, right, Els?
Oh, God.
She's had some not so great experiences. Go ahead. Tell a craft story.
Well, I mean, Mr. Mike and I,
First of all, they're mostly not crafty stuff.
Yeah, it's not really a craft show. It's more of a this is crap you bought on Temu and now you're selling it here sale kind of place. And then, so yeah, it's a lot of like pre-made Temu jewelry and stuff like that. And then people just buy chain and, you know, they put it on chain and then they sell it as new. It ain't, you know, as handmade, and that ain't handmade. And here, that's what people are looking for. They're not really looking for actual, you know, handmade stuff. They just want to grab the stuff that's all pre-made and from overseas. And so Mike and I, we did a craft fair a few years back. That was, we took the stuffies and like we got a lot of questions like, are these handmade? Yeah. Oh, that's not really what I'm looking for. But we went and it cost us $150 to get the space. Because remember, we're in Vegas. And it was $150 for the space. We paid the $150. By the time we sold everything and that we sold and we paid, you know, our taxes, I think we made something like $10 or $11 because it was just, you know, people were wanting the commercially made stuff. The lady next to us was so ticked off that she spent like 45 minutes putting her booth together. And when she left, she literally just rolled up the fabric on her table and just grabbed it like a sack and walked out. I don't think she sold a single thing.
Carla, I love my stuffed whale and my unicorn ear warmers. She did one year right before Christmas. She had a big old sale and she sold some of her stuffies. Gorgeous stuff.
So Angie had the same thing. She had to pay $10 to set up. And she only made $1.
She made a box.
I did one with the Crafting Guild here in Vegas, and they have this weird system where I'm supposed to turn over my stuff to somebody who's going to buy it, and then they're supposed to pay at the door for it. And so I was like, you know what? I will take the stuff to the door. I'll put their name on it, I'll put it in the bag, I'll bring it to store. I'm not having somebody walking around an area with a bag of my stuff that they can shove into a baby stroller or whatever. And I think we sold like 2 journals. You wore your ear warmers to the 4-letter word and they disappeared? Oh, I'd be mad.
No. Somebody stole. How do you steal somebody's ear warmers? That's just wrong on so many levels.
Hygienically, let's just start with that.
What are you saying about Carla's ears?
I'm just saying you don't want to wear somebody else's stuff on your head.
Yeah, they really don't, Angie. When I sold on eBay, I had people tell me, "Oh, that paper's only worth a penny a." I've looked at prices of reams of paper. That paper's only worth a penny
a sheet.
A sheet. You're overcharging. It's ridiculous. I want it for such and such a price. And I said, well, you go ahead and dye some paper of your own, and you get back to me on how economical you think my paper is after that. And then I would block them. Because I'm a bitch. That was when they're, yeah, but that doesn't make it any more right. That just means it was harder to track down the person. Seriously? And you just walk off with somebody's fabulous ear warmers. And not feel like a total turd afterwards, I don't get people, because you could never wear them to work then. Right?
Exactly. That's kind of one of those things where you can look at them and go, those are mine. Well, how do you know they're yours? Because they're one of a kind.
Right?
You don't buy those off the shelf.
No, you don't. So what are we looking at today for serial killer stuff? I have kind of an idea.
Just some stuff.
Well, it's time. It's that time in the Murder Monday portion of the day.
I'm sure they probably took them for the kiddo too. It's a kid kind of thing.
Yeah, but adults like that too. You don't fuck up some adult's life just because you want something for your kid that you don't feel like paying for.
Okay, so yeah, since everybody's here, before we even start this, so I did go to physical therapist today for the evaluation. And the physical therapist pretty much agrees with me that the doctor is stupid. We've been saying for a while now that this is not arthritis. Because if it's arthritis, it flares up. You take some anti-inflammatories and it goes down. Not so much. My knee is still swollen. It still hurts. And it doesn't hurt when I walk. It doesn't hurt when I stand on it. It hurts basically if I sit for too long or if I lay my leg on the side, like if I'm trying to go to sleep, it hurts. When I try to relax, so I'm not holding it steady. So I went in today and I talked to the physical therapist, and he's like, well, give me a feel for what's going on. Tell me about, your life. What do you do? What's your normal habits? Blah, blah, blah. And I told him, that I shop all the time. So I walk quite a bit. And that I was recently diagnosed with diabetes and I kicked that in the ass. And I told him, I said, listen, about 6 years ago, I did injure the knee, this very knee. It kind of went sideways on me. And after about, 6-7 weeks of messing around trying to get a referral out of my doctor, I just said, screw it. I was in my wheelchair for about 6 weeks and it stopped bothering me. So I moved on. I said, but I don't think it's arthritis, even though that's what the diagnosis is. And he goes, well, I'll test to see if it is. I said, okay. And so he had me go over and sit on this other table. And he lifted that table up so he could get like where his chest was right on my knee. And he put his finger on a spot on my knee, and then he kind of did a little maneuver. And he looked at me and he goes, don't hit me. I said, okay. And he does this little maneuver, and I just reached over and grabbed his finger and picked it up off my knee. I was like, you can move that now. He's like, does that hurt? I went, yeah. He goes, okay, well, there's probably arthritis in there. He says, but I'm going to be honest with you. I said, okay. He says it's your MCL. So this is the inside collateral ligament that connects my knee, top and bottom. And he says it's probably strained. He says if it was torn, I wouldn't be able to walk. So he's going to be doing some physical therapy. He's going to be doing tissue massage, TENS unit, all that kind of stuff. I told him, I said, I don't believe it's just arthritis. As a matter of fact, I'm getting a second opinion. And he goes, yeah, I would too. He says, I think you're absolutely right. And then he flat out told me, he said, when you first came in, I thought you were very intimidating. And I went, me? I'm a big old cupcake. He's like, I know that now. He says, but you can be intimidating. I scared the physical therapist. So
that's not unusual.
I know. I try not to. Luckily, it is.
I think you like it.
It's not on the fibula side.
It's around if they're scared of you.
It's on the other side. I also told him, I said, he's like, well, what other injuries have you had? So I had to tell him about some of the other injuries. I told him about my back. Amy's going to love this one. I told him, he asked me, he says, what is your level of determination? I said, dude, I beat diabetes. I didn't just beat it. I kicked its ass. I went in, my doctor said, these are where your numbers are at. This is where they were. This is where you're at now. You have diabetes. And 3 months later, when I went back in, my numbers were below where they were at. He's like, that's good. He says, somebody your age doesn't normally beat diabetes. I said, well, I did. I said, but I'm going to tell you right now, you want to know where my level of determination is? They told me 24 years ago, I'd be in a wheelchair in 6 months. 6 months to a year. I said, I'm still upright. And I live every single day with a migraine because I have occipital nerve damage. He puts his hand, he goes, can I touch the back of your neck? I said, yeah. He puts his hand on the back of my neck and he presses and he says, is this where it is? And immediately my head just stopped. And I went, yeah, that's the spot. Could you just walk around and hold that for the rest of my life? And he goes, no. He says, but I can move your occipital nerve for you. I can end those migraines.
Oh my gosh. Really?
I love you. So he's going to give it a shot, Amy. He said it may not stay there, but he says it's kind of like when you're having a baby and they try to rotate.
Go in and get it adjusted every now and then, and it reduces your migraine significantly. That would be amazing for you.
Would that not be like amazeballs? I could So yeah, he said.
Well, I don't know how you feel, but I know how it feels in the room where you are. So yeah. I can imagine the level of pain you're in, and I wouldn't want to live like that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
So yeah,
So
he said he
anything
might be
can
able
do for
to.
you.
He might be able to shift the occipital nerve a little bit
No,
and
Janice, you
release.
have not missed story time. We are almost there.
I'm getting there, babe.
You got a uniform. You got a unicorn PT.
So yeah, so he's going to see if he can move the occipital nerve and fix that, but he's also going to be working on the MCL. And he said, so we're going to use like some alternate therapies if you're open to it. And I said, what are we talking about here? And he's like, well, we might do some acupuncture, some TENS. I said, look, you tell me what I need to do for the TENS. I'll do that at home. I promise when I go on the road, I'll take my TENS unit with me. And so he shows me, he goes, well, you have to put it here and here. And I was like, cool. So yeah, so he's gonna work on the physical therapy. I can go in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I can be there as long as I need to be. He's going to be doing some massage, some muscle stimulation, some heat therapies, and hopefully, he said he'll be able to help me strengthen the structures around the MCL so that I'll be able to get that taken care of. He says, but definitely go get a second opinion.
Yay.
So
well, good, because normally, you know, the track record is this is what's wrong with you. Deal with it.
Yeah. Oh no,
this
Janice,
is somebody who's actually trying to help you.
Yeah. The TENS unit, I was introduced to that when I broke my back because I don't take narcotics for obvious reasons. And so they couldn't give me any pain medications other than, you know, like I'd take Tylenol or ibuprofen or Aleve or something, but I won't take anything else. I won't take anything narcotic. And so I had a doctor who was real advanced for the time, 24 years ago. And he gave me a TENS unit that was an incredible unit. It did like 400 different types of massage, and but I can turn that sucker up to like 80 to manage my pain. But I have been managing my pain with that, and it died about 2 years ago, and I had a little pocket unit that I do carry with me. I've used it when Amy and I have been out because, yeah. But Hubbard bought me a nice new larger TENS unit for here in the house. They work so good for me. Oh, I can't do clamshells. I'm allergic to shellfish. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about.
So that's the good news portion of the evening.
All right.
That's really awesome. I'm super happy for you, Else.
Oh my God. Oh, to finally get somebody who's going, I feel you, I understand you, we're going to work with this. Oh, and he's a hugger.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm not going to physical therapy with you ever.
Yeah, he's a hugger. So, has anybody ever heard of Herb Baumeister? Excuse me, Baumeister. It's one of my favorites. Janice has been hugging a lot of people lately.
Janice says not me on the has she heard of him. Don't be Googling right now. It's okay if you don't know.
Francis says that you know you love hugs, especially her.
There's nothing better. There's nothing better than a Francis hug.
Oh, thanks.
But if I feel like you hug, hey, you know.
All right, so we're gonna talk about old.
Carla
Herb
says
here.
nope. So you're going to cover some of the background.
Okay, well, Herb Baumeister is a 2-in-1 serial killer. He's 2 different serial killers.
Do tell. Inquiring minds want to know.
So he was called the I-70 Strangler.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Okay. Between 1980 and 1991, give or take in that area, on I-70, he was killing young men, young boys and young men. Okay. In like from Indiana to Ohio, in that area.
Yeah.
Okay. So he killed a whole bunch of people there.
Yes, Adria, like bird shampoo. Two products for the price of one.
So they were finding bodies kind of scattered off the I-70. These were all boys and young men that were originally, they were last seen in the gay corridor of like, the main towns. In and around Indianapolis, where they have like, because every city has like every major city has like the gay center of town. In San Francisco, I mean, everybody always thinks San Francisco's all gay, but it's not. The Tenderloin, that's really where it is. New York City has a large gay lifestyle, but there's a significantly large cluster of bars, sort of like Los Angeles. It's West Hollywood in LA, So these were young boys, typically runaways that were prostituting, and young men. And the last places that they had been seen was in and around the gay areas of like Indianapolis and stuff like that. And then,
I hear banjos.
So in 1991, those cases kind of stopped. All right. So they found multiple, but they'd all been strangled. Technically, the I-70 cases have not been solved. However, they stopped when this guy Baumeister bought Fox Hollow Farms. You may have heard of Fox Hollow Farm. So Fox Hollow Farm is this like really nice sort of suburban mansion farm kind of thing. It's to give you an idea. There's 18 acres of land. It's like 4 bedrooms in the main house. There's 10 bathrooms on the property. The house itself is almost 12,000 square feet. It's big. And part of this was an indoor pool. That's where he killed his victims. Hi, honey.
Right here.
Oh, crap. We forgot ice. I'm sorry.
You forgot.
So,
I did not.
over time, over the course of the investigation,
What years are we looking at for the investigation?
we're talking in like 96, 95, 96, that period.
Okay.
Now, he has a wife and 3 kids.
Don't they always?
They're living on the property, the wife and the 3 kids. Now, one of the kids actually found a skull on the property and took it to mom. Now, mom doesn't get freaked out about this. Mom just, blankly looks at dad and goes, "What's with this skull?" And he says that it's part of an articulated skeleton that he found, and he just buried it in the backyard because, he was burying trash. She bought that bullshit.
catch.
Oh,
Who loves you?
you do. Oh, I love that man. Oh, sorry.
Where are you? There you are. Don't do that. Open it up, please. I'm going out there.
Okay, so there is an indoor pool.
Right.
There's a wet bar.
In my hands.
There's a 5-car detached garage with an apartment above it, with its own private outside deck. There's 2 horse stables, tack room, riding space. This is literally like, I think it most recently sold for almost $1 million.
Oh, wow.
But part of that thing, I think, is an inflated price because this is a big, a lot of the ghost hunters
Hi, Zena.
like to go there and, investigate because it's also supposedly haunted.
Of course it is.
So they started looking for looking at him because some of the victims,
Somebody loves me.
so some of the victims had been seen with him, so they started kind of a line of inquiry and started to realize that more of the victims had been seen with him. Like he started off, he was gay on the down low kind of thing, because he had a wife and kids, but it was too much of a coincidence that he was around the gay bars and he was the last person to be seen with these people. Now, I will give you this. When he started moving into the bars, his victimology got older. Because when they suspect he was the I-70 strangler, he had victims as young as 14. The oldest one, I think, was 40, in his early 40s. But when he bought the house, his youngest victim was like 20 because he was picking them up in the bars. So they started to realize that this guy was like, the last person to be seen with a couple of these guys, which kind of pulls you right into the suspicion. So
that was how it was with the guy that I talked about last week. He was kind of the last stop for a lot of the victims.
Yeah.
They disappeared and he gave plausible stories, but he was still the last person.
Right. So his modus operandi was basically he would get these gay men to come back to his place when his wife and the children were out of town. Then he would suggest they go for a swim. And while he was at the bar, he would put a sedative in their drink. And then they'd go in the pool and they'd start messing around. And
they get tired.
They'd start to get tired. And he would begin to like coax them towards the edge of the pool. And then he would strangle them with a hose or an electrical cord that he had there.
Oh, wow.
Then that made it easier too to move the body because it's in the water.
Right.
So then he would just drag the body over to the shallow end of the pool, drag it up onto the side where he would have something that he could move the body with, probably like a lawn, like the pad off of a lawn chair. And then he would drag him out in the woods.
It's hard to do at a bench.
Yeah, and he would drag him out in the woods behind the house, and he'd dig a hole and he'd bury them. So, in October of '96, they got a search warrant. and they started to, dig around. So,
Adria, murder just sounds like so much work.
I know. So pretty much at the beginning of the 90s, they kind of like started looking at the disappearances of these gay men, all similar age, height, weight. In 94, they were contacted by a guy named Tony Harris. And he said that there was a guy calling himself Brian Smart that had likely killed these people.
Okay, so can I ask, by the time the police got involved, how long had this been going on?
It had been going on for a while, but it was this guy that kind of tied it together. Okay. This is
And what's
Roger,
in the gay community?
Yeah, Roger Goodlett. All right. Was his friend, was a friend of his, and had relayed the story that he had gone home with this guy, Brian Smart, and during an act of his erotic asphyxiation,
You can't say it any better than I can. I feel better.
Huh?
Asphyxiation. I stumble on that word all the time.
He came back and he told his friend, hey, this guy really tried to strangle me. Like, this was not like, I've done this before, and this was not that.
Right.
This
Get
guy
back
was
all the playful aspects.
Yeah, this guy really was trying to kill me, but I managed to get loose. So a while later in 95, he saw the guy that had tried to do this to his friend, because he was there when his friend got picked up by the guy, so he knew what he looked like. He saw him, followed him, got his license plate number. Okay. So they went to his house going, hey, dude, what the hell? They had a search warrant. They did find some things that led them to believe that there may be some bodies buried in the backyard. So there were some odors.
Some odors. Oh boy.
It was a little odoriferous.
Just in the backyard in general? Like, you walk out back, you're like, who took a dump? Or what is that sewage smell?
Yeah, well, I mean, they get there and they're like,
decay has a specific odor. So he didn't take any steps to like counteract that.
Not really. So the police go, they have this report of this guy who, as far as the person who was attacked, felt it was an attempted murder. And now they've seen the license plate. They have the information. So they start looking at the license plate, and it comes back not as Brian Smart, but as Herb Baumeister.
Right.
So they go out to his house and they're like, hey, can we take a look in your home? Him and his wife refused to allow them to search the property.
So did his wife kind of know? I know you said earlier she found a skull or something.
I think she did. Because in 1996, she was frightened enough by her husband's behavior that she filed for a divorce and then allowed the cops to search the property.
Okay.
So he
was concerned at this time. She does become concerned enough for herself, at least.
Baumeister is on vacation. They found the remains of over 11 men on the property. So they issue a warrant for his arrest. He goes to Ontario and he commits suicide. By Lake Huron.
Carla, I believe that some of the wives do know and they're just too afraid to do anything about it, or they don't care. And then I think there are a few that they truly just aren't aware.
I think what really cued it for her was the fact that he has two sons that are now approaching that age. His
Right.
victimology's age. And I think that plays into it for a lot of women. Like, they will ignore it, as not necessarily women of today's generation, but to an extent, yes. I think that women, they're like, well, I don't want to accuse him of anything that he's not guilty of. I don't want to alienate him.
Could ruin his reputation, cost him his job,
I need his paycheck. I've got 3 kids with this guy. We have this
He's
beautiful
never
home.
lived us.
So he left a 3-page suicide note.
Oh, wow.
He was sorry that he made a mess in the park because he did blow his brains out with a 357.
Wow.
He felt bad about his divorce and his failed business. He didn't at any point mention the remains or any of his crimes.
So no remorse there at all, or he just didn't acknowledge that he was doing it.
He just no acknowledgement at all.
Okay.
He did include in the letter, though, like he wrote this, that he had intended to kill himself someplace else, but there were kids there. So he decided to do it somewhere else, and then sat down, ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and blew his brains out.
So he did have some kind of moral compass if he didn't want to have children be the one to find him.
Right.
Or witness it.
Right. So I told you guys there's been movement on the case. Well, what could have possibly happened?
So please tell us.
What could have possibly happened, considering,
He's dead as a doornail.
6, and well, here's what happened. When they searched his house and his property, they found over 10,000 bones, which is approximately 38 people worth of bones. They have identified, of the 11 full skulls, full skeletons that they found, they've only identified, I think, 8 of them. I think there was 11 full bodies found and only 8 had been identified, but they still have a buttload of bones to go through. But recent movement is they found more bones on the farm. The people that bought it have called the police and said, hey, there's some more bones, come get them. And they went up and found more bones. But more importantly, they did identify a 9th victim. So originally they had identified a 20-year-old by the name of Johnny Lee, a 31-year-old by the name of Jeffrey Allen Jones, a 20-year-old named Richard Douglas Hamilton, Alan Lee Livingston, who was 27. He was the most recently, up until this point, the most recently identified body, because he was identified in 2023. Stephen Hale, Alan Broussard, Roger Goodlett, Frederick Keim, who was 45. And then now, in January of this year, they identified Manuel Resendez. He was a 34-year-old homosexual Hispanic male. He was a children's counselor. He was last seen at a gay bar in downtown Indianapolis in 1993. And it was in January of this year that the local coroner announced identification of his remains. So they still have a whole bunch of bones to go through. And they're also thinking that they could link Jerry Williams Comer, who was 34, to Baumeister as well. So, like I said, they can't exactly say for sure that the I-70 Strangler was the same guy, but operational at the same time, in the same period. The killing stopped when he bought the house and was able to do it quietly at home. He was would have been in the area at the time, so the timeline matches, the demographics match, the geography matches from where he lives and where he worked and how he traveled. All of that matches up. So they're going to credit him those, and that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, like 10 other, 11 or 12 other victims. But those stopped when he bought the house, and there hasn't been another I-70 Strangler killing since he killed himself. So, yeah, but she knew. I think she knew as early as '94 when her son found the skeletal remains.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, his thing was, his dad had dissecting skeletons, so that was his thing. He said, well, that's one of Grandpa's skeletons. And, he buried it. Why would you bury that?
I know, but you tell kids weird things just to, not just get them to move on from the subject. Oh, that was Grandpa's. Let's go get some toast.
But I mean, I don't know about y'all, but if I found like an articulated skeleton in the garage and I knew that it belonged, to somebody who lived there before me, or it belonged to my parents or my in-laws or something like that, and I had no use for it, I'd take it to the local high school or the library, someplace, something nearby where they could use it.
And articulated skeletons, I don't think are legal anymore. I don't think you're allowed to create them at this point. Most of them are made of something else.
Plastic, right. They're made of a polymer. But
and there are varying degrees of quality on that, but I don't think you're allowed to have an articulated human skeleton anymore. If your family for some reason owned one, I'm sure you can have it if they had already owned it, but I don't think you can make one now and go, look what I made.
I think that comes under the purview of ivory. Like if it's older than a certain age, I think you can get
like a provenance. It's a collector's item, and before people quote unquote knew any better, you don't just put Grandpa. Let's just spoil Grandpa and put him, articulate him and hang him in the living room. You can't do that.
No, but I mean that is where those items used to come from back in the day. So, if
a university or an institution already has them, I'm just saying, I don't think now somebody could be like, I'm going to go into an old cemetery and dig up stuff and make an articulated skeleton. Or I have a family plot on my land that's been here for 100 years. I don't think you can go back and just start making articulated skeletons. I think that's illegal.
Yeah, that's illegal.
As a business for now.
I'm pretty sure.
And I don't think there's a body donation program where you're like, check a box off, I'd like to be an articulated skeleton.
No, I don't think you can. But I'm just saying, those are very expensive and highly sought after. So if you had one, you'd donate it or you'd sell it.
You wouldn't bury it in the yard. You'd donate it or sell it, but you'd have to go through an auction house or something. I don't think that's some shit you can eBay. Because there are laws about how you sell human remains. That's a problematic thing too. So you'd have to go through a licensed auction house I believe.
Hold on. Human bone laws and information. In short, it's perfectly legal to possess and sell human bones in the United States.
Is it really?
Yep.
You don't have to explain where you got that shit?
Nope.
I feel a new side business coming on, Els.
It says it's illegal to sell human remains that have been unlawfully removed from a place of burial. However,
But it doesn't seem going out and killing somebody, boiling down their bones and making one.
the human bone trade
Hot
is legal
damn.
and booming on Instagram.
Well, Els, I think we could kill two birds with one stone, literally. We were
No
looking for a
shit.
side hustle. Now we can get rid of some idiots and make some change on the side.
Nah, man, there's so much. You got it. First, you got to burn them, and then, and you can't burn them too much or you'll burn the bone. And then you got to like boil them in bleach to like disinfect, and you got to get rid of all of the tissue. And then you got to be careful drilling that so that you can articulate it. It's no.
Big pain in the ass.
a
Xena,
big pain in the
historically, grave robbers.
Yeah.
DoorDash me a skeleton. It's for learning purposes. Historically, grave robbers, sometimes people donate their body to science way back in the day. But typically, grave robbing was how they got skeletons.
Well, they got the
Janice is
bodies.
stinky.
Yes. They would rob graves, freshly buried corpses, to send to the medical schools, and then they would deflesh them in order to make skeletons for.
It may also have been a way. Cadavers were also sold as medical cadavers.
Yeah.
For this schools also. So it may have been the case with common practice once they dissected it and everything.
So
I'm not saying I know for sure, but that's probably one way to get rid of a body.
Well, that's why, like, there was actually the King of England actually said, so many bodies of criminals, and only the bodies of criminals could be used for dissection. So that, if somebody was died in prison or they were put to death, then their body would
But
be
those
turned
were
over.
limited and hard to get.
They were very limited. Yes. Burking is actually because Burke and Hart actually took it upon themselves. They were serial killers in Victorian England, where they would kill somebody. They would grab them from behind and they would strangle them while the other guy was pulling on their legs. And so if you get grabbed from behind around your neck in a headlock, they call that burking. You got burked. And here's the Hart got away with life in prison, but Burke actually was put to death. And as punishment, his body was to be given to medical research. Even though he had relatives that could claim his body and he was not destitute, the judge still ordered that he be sent to medical research. But that's a whole other different serial killer.
For a different time.
Well, I mean, that they're also the ones that started the commonality of, there being one primary and one that follows. Like there's
Submissive.
the actual serial killer, and then there's the like apprentice. That came out of that relationship. Sick puppies everywhere.
Well, that's the dominant submissive partnership, right? The dominant one gets most of the benefit out of it, and the submissive one is basically doing all the parts
Equal.
the killer doesn't want to do.
Yeah. The dominant is Dracula and the submissive is Igor.
Okay, but wouldn't that be Frankenstein and Frankenstein? No, I'm thinking something different. You're right.
Yes, everybody thinks that the Victorian age was so lovely and wonderful, but it wasn't.
It's kind of gross. Full of illness and gross stuff.
Well,
and
that's
a
why they don't.
hospital was a quick way to get dead.
Yeah, but that's also why they don't know where, like where they can't pinpoint where the Ripper's victims are buried.
Right.
It's because back in the day, unless you could pay for an individual plot, you got buried in a group plot. They'd put 20, 25 bodies in a hole and cover it with quicklime and move on. Yes, Renfield.
Here, Janice and Carla have figured it out for me. It was Frankie and Igor. Well, it was Dr. Frankie and Igor and Dracula and Renfield. I was like, those things don't go together, but I can't figure out why.
Renfield. Renfield. But that's it. That's all I have for you today.
He was a lovely lunatic.
He was a lovely lunatic. And
well,
a 2 for 1.
More than enough.
And a 2 for 1, because he was the I-70 strangler. At least, it's believed that he's the I-70 strangler. And to be honest, he's not actually a convicted serial killer because he killed himself before he went to trial.
He committed suicide.
Suicide. That's it. That's all I got.
That's the chicken's way out. Right, Janice? Angry horse noises. Angry horse noises. So that was a pretty good one. And the fact that they found more bodies this long after, because that was in 95 and it's 2024.
Yeah, they're still finding
the end
parts.
Of his little crime spree.
They are still finding some body parts. And like I said, over 10,000 bones. 10,000 bones. You're talking 38, 39 people. So.
Yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at. Hold up your ring. People are saying it looked pretty. There you go. Not bad for. And we were sitting out back the other day when this came up, and that was when she was like, "I'm going to do a Murder Monday," and I was like, "Okay." So we've been on about the right amount of time, huh?
I try.
You did good. You done good.
Usually by the end of the day,
anyone have the early family? I don't, but we can look at that next week.
Yeah, we can look it up. I know, he had parents, and he had parents.
But we don't know if he came from an abusive background, a normal background. So let's hold that over for next week, and we'll have a look at that. That'll give us some follow-up on the story.
There is some stuff, as far as his parents and things like that. But not like his parents were very private people. So, they didn't really get into it. His wife did divorce him. Well, she attempted to divorce him, but he killed himself. So he took care of that for her. But yeah, he was active for, they think, somewhere around 15 years.
Yeah, from 80 to 95, it's the approximate range.
So
we'll have to look. We'll poke around and see what we can find out. But I think Elsa's right. I don't think his parents released a lot of information, for whatever reason. But that is our time for tonight, guys. We have done our hour and a quarter, and we don't want to keep you on a Monday because you got to work all week. I'll be on live tomorrow. Elsa will be live on her. Are you going to be live on your usual Wednesday, or are you going to be at physical therapy?
No, I'll be live on Wednesday because I can go to physical therapy anytime.
Okay. So Els will see you on Wednesday.
Yep.
Well, I thought you said you were going on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yes, but I can go anytime.
Okay, but you can go anytime during the day. You don't have to be there in the morning.
No, but they
All right,
open at
so
7:45.
that is our live. Els, do you have any other announcements or anything?
No, I got nothing.
You could still make it for your live.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it then. So however you guys are spending your days and nights, we'll do some follow-up what we can find on this guy next Monday. And so however you guys are spending your days and nights, I hope it brings you great joy and happiness. We all know that each and every one of you absolutely deserves it. Until I see you in one of my live or in a live or in a box somewhere, oh my gosh, I wish you the happiest of crafting. Neighborhood of Teeny tomorrow. Bright blessings and hugs and hisses. Bye, bye, bye,
Later.
bye, bye. Good night, ladies. Have a good one. I'm pushing the button. Push the button.